Michigan, it's very, very cold. I had spoken with my very good friend from childhood, his name is John, and we had decided that we needed to have a couples weekend at the age of 17. And we decided that if we couched it in terms of camping, we could probably get away with it and get our parents to sign off on it. And so I approached my parents to say that we, as two very mature couples, wanted to spend an entire evening with our girlfriends at that point in a tent, and we would camp. And my parents scoffed. They said, "We can't say yes to this. And I said, "Why not?" And they said, to say yes to this, we would be condoning you to have sex. We know that's what would happen in that tent, or in those tents. And this may be the most beautiful lie I've ever told my parents. I looked them dead in the eye and I said, "It's not about sex. It's about so many nights spending time on the couch with our significant others and knowing that as the minutes click by, we'll have to get in our cars and drive home and not have any more moments together that night." We only want that union, that togetherness, not for sex, just so that we don't have to say goodbye at the end of the night. And there was a pause. And good hippie parents that they are, they said, "Well, if that's the reason, then not only can you stay in the tent, but it's November. You can stay in the house if it's too cold, and we will stay at the house next door." And I learned the power of persuasion in that moment. So the night came, and while my friend John and his girlfriend were downstairs on the hide-a-bed, I was upstairs in my bedroom with my girlfriend. And I had done everything I could to plan the evening. I had a purple terry cloth robe. I had incense. I think I had the first Lisa Loeb soundtrack. But the confounding variable was that my girlfriend then said that she was latex intolerant, which was the first time I'd heard that term. And so in preparation for this evening, I had to take a bit more planning, because this was a week planning, 2 weeks planning. I knew this was going to be the night. And so I had to seek out alternatives to latex, which, for protection, was a lambskin condom. And so I purchased some, and there was a box there, and it was all set. I actually had it tucked, box already open, underneath the pillow, so that I, assuming that timing would be a factor, would be able to simply reach beneath the pillow and extract one of these And that was when, at this moment, I had taken my robe off. I was at this point. I was fully prepared physically. And I reached under, expecting to find a square foil packet, but instead found a very hard plastic capsule, which is harder to open than any gumball ring you've ever gotten out of a machine. And now the pressure was even more, because I had to figure out this capsule while maintaining as best I could, while still trying to keep her in the mood with. And I could not get that capsule open. For the life of me, I couldn't get it open. At one point, it was in my mouth, and I couldn't get it open. And I finally I threw up my hands, and I was like, "I'm gonna have to go figure this thing out." And I put my purple terry cloth robe back on. and I went into the bathroom to stare at this thing with befuddlement. How am I going to get this open? After a few minutes struggling with that, I decided I'll crack it open. And so I covered it in a washcloth and set it on the ground, and I just very gently rolled my heel onto it until I heard it crack, and immediately thought about plastic shards just ripping through that lambskin condom, and I was like, well, I'm going to have to get another one because I have no trust in this one anymore. So I sulked back into the other room in my purple terry cloth robe and restarted the process of getting physically prepared and getting her physically prepared, and this time I was very fast. I grabbed a capsule out from underneath the pillow, and I darted into the bathroom, and I quickly, just very gently, this time it didn't crack, it just popped. And I quickly slid it on and ran back into the room, and I didn't even take the robe off this time, and as quickly as I could, I just everything I could into those scant 65 seconds. And afterwards was able to say to her, was that okay? And she said, meh. But nevertheless, did get a high five from my best friend who was coming up the stairs at dawn just as I was leaving the room at dawn to continue the facade that we had just wanted to spend one night together where we didn't have to say goodnight. And we high-fived as we climbed into the bunk beds. Thank you.